Hi, I'm Danny from Angler Tackle and Gun. Welcome back to Tip Tuesday. Today we're going to go for second hand. Generally what we look for when buying second hand, so something that might be helpful to you guys when looking for second hand items. Just keep an eye on certain things. What we'll do is we'll go over pre-charge and we'll go over springers. Here's an old BSA spring gun. What we tend to look at is the stock, the action and the barrel. So if you have a look around this area, you can see there's a couple of marks on there, a couple of marks on there. Trigger, generally okay, but there's no major marks on the trigger itself. So the barrel, as you can see, it's not in the best conditions, but one thing that we do tend to look for is, one, does it engage the trigger? So can you cock it? The other one is how straight the barrel is to the action. I'll see if you can see down there, it's fairly straight, so action to barrel. Turn it sideways without me knocking everything. And you try and line up that with your sight, or the eyesight, and have a look straight down the barrel. So some guns, for example, like spring guns, when you break them, you constantly whack the end to get them back up. So you do that, and over time that will eventually cause the barrel to droop or warp just because you've been whacking it. The other way is sometimes people do that. Don't do that, even though I just did it, because that can cause barrel bend and everything like that as well. So the other ways you can check is, I'll see if I can get it from here. It is, let's cock that. Along here is how much has been hit on this edge. So you can see how much has been used. So like the fire arcs, like the 35s for example, they've got a little lever just on here that you have to sort of thumb down to get out. If, for example, people haven't been doing it correctly, then you'll find there's a little groove here, and that's how much has been used. This one, for example, did engage the trigger as well. So we know that it will shoot. How well it shoots, you'd have to put a pellet through it, but you can decock them fairly easily. Certain guns you can decock, so if I just do this. So hold the barrel, pull it back, pull the trigger, make sure the safety's off, and just do that. Right, so here's an old Airarms S410, 10 shot because it's got the little magazine fitting for it. But what we tend to look at, yet again, condition of stock. This one has a few scratch marks on there. Action, which the action's not too bad. So it's been fitted with a new indexing post, which is fine. But what is a big red flag to me is this tape. So this tape can hold the moisture underneath it, so that can ruin your cylinder, rust it, same as the barrel. So something to look out for. The other things as well is if, for example, there isn't one on here, thankfully, but you can see it's been either dropped or marked or hit on something on there. Anything that might compromise the tube or the cylinder is personally a big no-go, unless, for example, you get on such a good price that you can work on it or send it off to be worked on professionally. That's fine. So check for leaks. So this gun has no leaks, or that you can tell it might be a broken gauge. So the other option is to cock it and fire it, like so. Don't know if you noticed that as well. So that's also something, I mean, that's just a spring, but you can see this has been modified because that's meant to be a safety. So this gun now has no safety, which is then another thing to think about. It's got a anti-tamper bit in there. It's not the actual one that comes with it. Someone's done that aftermarket. But yeah, so just keep an eye out for tape. If you can remove the tape easy enough, then fine. But what we'll do is we'll have a quick look underneath this stock so I can show you. So the other things to be careful of as well is check your power. So if you can, if they've got a chronograph there, then fantastic. Because what you don't want to do is then buy a firearm or an illegal firearm. Right, so the condition underneath, yeah, it's a bit grubby, but other than that, it's not too bad. That still bugs me. But let's try and remove some of this tape. If I can get to any of the tape. Sorry, you just look at my hand, but let's see if you look there. That's stored water on the edge. Which is such a shame really, because these are a nice gun. Having no nails does not help my situation for this. But hopefully you get the general gist. It's not a good idea to put this tape on. One, because you have to peel it all off. So let's check. Yep, so the barrel, and then I can see rust on there already. This tape is horrible. Yeah, you can see on this side as well. There's a line of rust where it's been rubbing, the tape's been rubbing against the stock. Yeah, I can't even get this off. Personally, I'll just scrap this whole thing and just, or clean it with proper cleaners. But then you've got to be careful with that as well, because that can ruin your seals. As you can see, I gave up taking the tape off. Quite simply, I don't have the time to do it, nor the energy, nor the want. So, but something like this, I would offer considerably less, or make a good offer as a percentage off sort of thing. Unless it's a rough and ready gun and you don't care, your choice. But personally, I'd have to change the whole cylinder on that for it to be valid. Spring guns, like I say, check the barrels. That's the main thing, because if, for example, you find yourself shooting low or shooting high and you can't figure out why, your scope's maxing out, it's more than likely it's your barrel's bent without even noticing it. Okay, my dog's walking around. But yeah, so that's all for today's Chip Tuesday.